الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على السلام حي على السلام حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسأل أيان يوم القيامة فإذا برق البصر وخسف القمر وجمع الشمس والقمر يقول الإنسان يومئذ أين المفر. This is a chapter of the Holy Quran called Qiyamah. Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ali has translated the name as the resurrection. And I have recited verses 6 to 10 of this chapter. And its English translation is, he asks about the day of resurrection. It will be when the sight is confused and the moon becomes dark and the sun and the moon are brought together. Men will say on that day, where do we find refuge? There will be no refuge on that day. The next one is chapter 30, Surah Rome, verses 19 and verses 27. يخرج الحي من الميت ويخرج الميت من الحي ويحيي الأرض بعد موتها وكذلك تخرجون. And He, Allah, brings forth the living from the dead and brings forth the dead from the living. And He gives life to the earth after its death. And thus, this is how you will be brought forth. In chapter 27, وَهُوَ الَّذِي يَبْدَأُ الْخَلْقَ ثُمَّ يُعِيدُهُ وَهُوَ أَهْوَنُ إِلَيْهِ وَلَهُ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. And He it is who originated the creation and then reproduced it. It is very clear to Him, it is very easy for Him. And His is the most exalted state in the heavens and the earth. And He is mighty and He is wise. And the last one is Surah Taha, which is chapter 21, verse 104. يَوْمَ نَطْوِي السَّمَاءَ كَطَيِّ السِّجِلِّ لِلْكُتُبِ كَمَا بَدَأْنَا أَوَّلَ خَلْقٍ نُعِيدُهُ وَعْدًا عَلَيْنَا إِنَّا كُنَّا فَاعِلِينَ. The day when Allah will roll up heavens like the rolling up of a scroll of writings. As we began the first creation, we shall reproduce it. A promise that is binding on me. We shall bring it about. And in the margin some time ago, when I read this verse, I made a note. It says this is a statement of third law of thermodynamics and refers to entropy. Today's Juba in a way is very easy because I want to share with you a paper written by a professor at university about these events. We talk about Qiyamah and what will happen and why Qiyamah is needed. People talk about it in individual terms, you and me. But I'm going to talk about this in terms of the species that exist. Because I don't think we are very far from the Qiyamah, because if the sea levels keep rising like this, Inshal may never get to become the senior partner in his law firm. To some northern cities, and I mean in the north of England, they're already building dikes and raising dikes to stop the sea level from invading the land. But let's go back and see if something like this has happened before, and what was the aftermath and what happened after that. We know of one incident, that is the flood of Noah, that's mentioned in the Old Testament and in the Holy Quran and so on. But let's read the paper. I'll read out the paper by this professor. In the past 500 million years, Earth has been hit again and again by mass extinctions. So Qiyamah hasn't come once, it has come many times before, wiping out most species on the planet. And every time life recovered and ultimately went on to increase in diversity. Just think about the description of Jannat in the Holy Quran. There'll be things there that we cannot conceive, that we have not seen. Is life just incredibly resilient, or is something else going on? Could mass extinctions actually help life diversify and become better and succeed? And if so, how? Given that we are currently facing another extinction event, there is extra urgency in trying to work out how mass extinctions affect diversity. Mass extinction is probably the most striking pattern in the fossil record. Vast numbers of species, even entire families. And Jawad would tell you that when a biologist talks about a family, he's not talking about mum, dad, and kids. He's talking about a particular type of species. Vast numbers of species, even entire families, disappear rapidly, simultaneously, all around the world. So what else is Qayamat going to be? Except that this time it's going to be you and me, and not anyone else. Extinction on this scale usually requires some kind of global environmental catastrophe. You remember the verse? Sight will become clouded, sun and moon will become one. So severe and so rapid that species cannot evolve and instead disappear. Massive volcanic eruptions drove the extinctions at the end of Devonian, Permian, and Triassic periods. Global cooling and intense glaciation drove the Ordovician extinctions. An asteroid caused the end of Cretaceous extinctions for the dinosaurs. These big 5 extinctions get the most attention because, well, they are big. But lots of lesser yet still civilization destroying events occurred, civilization threatening events occurred as well. Like the pulse of extinction before the end Permian event. These events were incredibly destructive. The asteroid impact that ended the Cretaceous period shut down photosynthesis for years and caused decades of global cooling. Anything that couldn't shelter from the cold or find food in dark. Remember, bats survived? Anything that couldn't shelter from the cold or find food in the darkness, which was most species, perished. 99% of all species disappeared. What happened afterwards? God says, I'll roll it up and then I'll bring forth a new creation which is better. But life bounced back. And the recovery was rapid. 90% of mammal species were eliminated by the asteroid, but they recovered. And then within some 300,000 years, went on to evolve into horses, whales, bats, and other primate ancestors. Birds and fish experienced similarly rapid recovery and radiation. and many other organisms, snakes, tuna, swordfish, butterflies, ants, grasses, orchids, and asters, evolved or diversified at the same time. Remember the verse of the Holy Quran that in Jannat, in the afterlife, there'll be things that you haven't conceived, that you haven't thought of, and you can't even imagine. This pattern of recovery and diversification happened after every mass extinction. The end Permian extinction saw mammal-like species take a hit, but reptiles flourished afterwards. After reptiles surfaced during the end Triassic event, the surviving dinosaurs took over the planet and diversified. Although a mass extinction ended the dinosaurs, they only evolved in the first place because there was another mass extinction. Life slowly diversified over the past 500 million years. In fact, several things hint that extinction drives this increased diversity. For one, the most rapid period of diversity increase occur immediately after a mass extinction. But perhaps more striking recovery isn't only driven by an increase in species numbers. In a recovery, animals innovate, finding new ways of making a living. They exploit new habitats, new foods, new means of locomotion. For example, our fish-like forebears crawled out from the ocean onto land and became human beings. Extinction doesn't only drive this process of speciation, it also drives evolutionary innovation. It's not a coincidence that the biggest pulse of innovation in life's history, the evolution of complex animals in the Cambrian explosion, happened in the wake of the extinction of the Ediacaran animals that went before them. Innovation may increase the number of species that could coexist because it allows species to move into new niches instead of fighting over the old ones. Fish crawling onto land didn't compete with fish in the seas. Bats hunting at night with sonar didn't compete with birds that were active during the day. Innovation means evolution isn't a zero-sum game. Species can diversify without driving others extinct. But why does extinction drive innovation? Stable ecosystems may prevent innovation. A modern wolf is probably a far more dangerous predator than its predecessor. But a tiny mammal couldn't evolve into a wolf in the Cretaceous because they were his ancestors, which were much stronger and much more vicious. Any experiment in carnivory would have ended badly, with a poorly adapted mammal competing with or just being eaten by his well-adapted predecessor. But in the lulls after an extinction, evolution may be able to experiment with designs that are initially poorly adapted, but with long-term potential. With the show's stars gone, the evolutionary understudies get their chance to prove themselves. The extinction of the wolf's predecessor gave mammals the freedom to experiment with new niches. Initially, they were poorly equipped for being predators. But without dinosaurs competing with or eating them, they didn't need to be terribly good to survive. They only needed to be as good as other things around them. So they flourished. In an ecological vacuum, ultimately ultimately evolving into big, fast, intelligent pack hunters. Life isn't just resilient, it thrives on adversity. Life isn't just resilient, it thrives on adversity. What does the Quran say? And I shall try you something of hunger and difficulty. Life will, it's like reading a commentary of the Holy Quran, this whole paper. Life will even recover from, life isn't just resilient, it thrives on adversity. Life will even recover from the current wave of human-induced extinction which is about to come. If we disappeared tomorrow, then species would evolve to replace woolly mammoths, dodo birds, and the passenger pigeon, and life would likely become even more diverse than before. That's not to justify what we are doing. You don't commit suicide because you think the hereafter is going to be better. It won't happen in our lifetime. Well, there you are. You might get to become the senior partner in your law firm. It won't happen in our lifetime, or even in the lifetime of our species, but millions of years from now. This idea that extinction drives innovation may even apply to human history. The extinction of Ice Age megafauna must have decimated hunter-gatherers. But it also may have given farming a chance to develop. The Black Death produced untold human suffering, but the shake-up of political and economic systems may have led to the Renaissance. Economists talk about creative destruction, the idea that creating a new order means destroying the old one. But evolution suggests there's another kind of creative destruction, where the destruction of the old system creates a vacuum and actually drives the creation of something new and often better. What does the Quran say will happen in heaven? It'll be a better life. You won't feel the pain in that life, and so on. When things are at their worst, that is precisely when the opportunity of improvement, thriving, getting better is the greatest. So I thought this paper, written from a scientific point of view by a professor of he's professor of evolutionary biology or something, was very interesting, because as I read it, it seemed to me that it seemed like reading particularly, and will say, and you see he's talking, and the last verse that I read out to you, the day when we roll up heaven like the rolling up of the scroll of writing. Yep. As we began the first creation, we shall reproduce it. A promise binding on us, we shall bring it about. And again, somewhere else, He it is who originated the creation, then recreate it. He it is who originates the creation, then reproduces it. And it is very easy for Him. And His is the most exalted state. And so on. And again, the other verse, He brings forth the living from the dead, which is what He is saying. He brings forth the living from the dead, and brings forth the dead from the living, and gives life to the earth after it has died. And thus, were you brought forward? I think this verse is referring to perhaps a previous mass extinction, that this is how human beings and humanity was created, on the basis of, as the professor said, when the fish crawled out of the sea and it eventually became disease and Azruddin. So, I just thought I'd read this paper out, because on the one hand, when we talk about religion, we say Islam is a deen, and it covers all aspects of life. But then we restrict it to washing of hands and feet, and putting so much water up your nostrils, and having your trousers so far up your ankles and all this kind of thing. But if Quran is a deen, then it covers these aspects as well. And this is why the Holy Prophet Muhammad said, to gain knowledge, even if you have to go to China, go to China. Because the more knowledge you garner and gain, the better your understanding of the Holy Book becomes. I was absolutely astonished by this paper, because the more I read it, the more I kept thinking of verses of the Holy Quran, but the Quran says this, but the Quran says that. And he's saying exactly the same thing. This is why education and knowledge is important. And unfortunately, we gave it up in preference to going to darbars and prostrating to graves and so on. You would not believe this. There are actually people who give up medical treatment in the UK and go to darbars in Pakistan and take dust and ashes and rub them over the patient's body, that some karamat, some moja, some miracle will happen and cure the person. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Quranil azim wa nafa'ana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim, innahu ta'ala jawadun kareemun malikun barrufur rahim. After Friday prayers, we'll perhaps we can do it on Sunday, the funeral prayers for our sister who died in New Zealand.
Sure.
We'll do it on Sunday. There'll be more people here. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina, man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma ansur man nasara deena Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam waj'alna minhum waqsul man khazala deena Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wala taj'alna minhum. Ibadallah rahimakumullah, inna Allaha ya'muru bil adli wal ihsani wa ita'i zil qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsha'i wal munkari wal baghi ya'izukum la'allakum tadhakkarun. Uzkurullaha yazkurkum wad'uhu yastajib lakum wa la zikrullahi akbar wallahu ya'lamu ma tasna'un.
Allahu Akbar, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah, hayya ala falah, qad qamatis salah, qad qamatis salah. Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah.
Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين وذلك الذي يدعو اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون. Allahu Akbar. Sami Allahu liman hamida. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim ghairil maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Inna a'tainakal kautsar fasalli lirabbika wanhar. Inna syani'aka huwal abtar. Allahu Akbar. Sami Allahu liman hamida. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Waalaikumsalam. Thank you for joining us for our Friday service. We take our leave of you. Just to remind you that we have a community meeting on Sunday, 3 p.m. UK time, so which will again be broadcast both on radio and YouTube and Facebook. So please do try and join us. In the meantime, I pray that Allah keeps all of you, whoever you are, wherever you are, safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum. Khuda Hafiz.